Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Hi, everyone. I'd like to start out today by saying one of the key main things we try to accomplish every week with these radio broadcasts is to remind everyone and convince everyone and prove that we can ask God what to do. We can talk to Him all day, and we can ask Him for inspirations and ideas all day long, and He does inspire us. That's where the word comes from, right? The word, somebody made the word inspired. Somewhere in history they created the word inspired, and that's what inspired means. The Holy Spirit is coming into us and talking to us. And if you read Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 23, and Jeremiah 33, verse 3. So those 2 scriptures will tell you that God is saying to us always, listen to my voice. That's what God tells us in Jeremiah 23 and Jeremiah 33. He's telling us to listen to His voice. The next thing I'm trying to remind everybody about, including myself, is in the Bible in Mark chapter 16, verse 20. Very, very important verse. You might want to jot it down. Mark 16, verse 20 is where it's the end of the book of Mark, and it's where the disciples go out to the whole world and tell the whole world about the story of Jesus, the history of Jesus, the miracles of Jesus. They're out there preaching and telling everybody about His miracles to try to convince everybody that Jesus really was real and He existed for 33 years on earth as a man, etc. And what it says at the end of Mark 16:20, it says that as these disciples were telling everybody about God's miracles, as they were explaining miracles to the world, God was sending clues, something like coincidence miracles, something like confirmations that God was with them. So I think it's very important to remember that. At the end of the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 20, it clearly says that if you go out and talk about God and tell the world about God, you're going to see that God shows you signs and clues. And why does He do that? He's showing you that He's with you. God, that's what the Bible says. God is showing people that He's with them by the signs and the clues that attend them as they are out talking about God. Okay, so if you remember that, then we can get into sharing some miracles where you'll hear about the coincidences that I experience and other people as well. The first one I'd like to talk about is I had stopped at a church to meditate one day. I was inspired to do that, actually. It's a calling. God calls you when he wants to spend time with you quietly. So I stopped at a church, and I spent some time there talking to him and listening to him and, reminiscing about some of the miracles that have been going on in my life. And when I was done, it was time to go. I got up to leave. And as I was walking out, a man was walking in, and he looked downcast. He had his head down. I said hello, but his hello was kind of a very sad hello. So I got inspired by God. I got an inspiration in my mind to spend a couple minutes with him, talking to him, and share my name, etc. And in that process, I was inspired to hand him a copy of the miraculous medal. You can Google that if you want. Just Google the year 1830, miraculous medal, and you'll learn all about it. It's a medal that people carry to remind them of all the miracles that you can receive in life if you're paying attention to God. So I handed him the medal in hopes that it would remind him of miracles in his life. And we had a little chat and said goodbye. And about a month later, I bumped into him again at the same church, and he said, Tony, I should tell you, I was in no condition when we met about a month ago, but I should tell you that I was really, really downcast. My wife got a prognosis from the doctors that she had a very short time to live, and she was my high school sweetheart. We've been married for over 50 years. So it was really a hard day for me to even hear the message that she did not have much time to live. So I came here to pray, to be alone with God. And the fact that you took the time and talked to me and you gave me the miraculous medal to remind me of miracles in my life was very uplifting, Tony. And I think the short story I'd like to tell you is this. I really, really believe that you saved my life that day when you stopped and talked to me and gave me the miraculous medal. I think you saved my life because I was so depressed and lost, and I didn't know what to do, and it seemed as though I had reached the end of my road as well. So I wanted to thank you. So I'm sharing all that with you, not because it happened to me, but so that you can realize that's what happens to you, and that's what will happen to you when you do what God inspires you to do. On another day, I was at the mall shopping, and while I was going back to my car, I noticed a car pulling out of a parking place very quickly, and apparently they had a blind spot where they couldn't see clearly all around their car, and I think they missed a woman by maybe 1/16 of an inch. It looked like she was going to get hit, but she saw the car pulling past her and missed her toes. And I was shocked to be there seeing it. So I knew when this was happening, I just experienced a miracle, that God had me there present, and I saw it. And the woman was obviously shaken. The car pulled out and left because they never even saw what happened. They didn't even realize. I think if they ran her down and ran over her, they probably wouldn't even know that they ran somebody over, except for the bump, God forbid. So I was so blown away by what I just saw. I was inspired to certainly go and give her a miraculous medal and let her know that she just received a tremendous miracle, and I saw it happen. And I know all about the miraculous medals, so I can talk about that history. If you Google it, year 1830, miraculous medal, you'll learn a lot about it. So I explained to her, I saw it, I gave her a miraculous medal, and her jaw dropped, and she said to me, "You won't believe this, but I'm new in the area. I just moved here. I'm still living in boxes. And I decided this morning when I got up, I was going to go to my boxes and look for my miraculous medal. It was on my mind to do that because I always carry my miraculous medal with me, and because of the move, I had it in boxes somewhere, and I had to find it. And here you are giving me one." So she said, "I'm pretty impressed that you're handing me a medal, and I was thinking this morning I've got to go back home and find my copy of the miraculous medal." And then she told me how her family all carried miraculous medals with them, and they'd all seen miracles in their life. And we certainly had a laugh because we both know she just experienced a tremendous miracle by escaping getting hit by that car. Well, after all that happened, as I was turning around now to walk to my car, I noticed there was a woman parked in a pickup truck, and she was watching the whole thing. So as I was walking to my car, she started wagging her head like, holy moly, she almost got clipped. And so I went over and I was talking to her. And then since she had seen us talking and she saw me handing the other woman the miraculous medal, I got inspired again and asked her if she would like a miraculous medal and the lady in the pickup truck. And I told her about the woman I just talked to. She's new in the area. Oh, and by the way, the lady who's new in the area, she was looking for a church to start going to. So I was able in our discussion to point out 2 nearby churches that I think she'll love very much. Very good congregation and people who are caring and loving people. So now I was with this lady at the pickup truck, and I'm handing her miraculous medal, and she tells me her story as well. She said her mother and her grandmother always had the medals. They gave them to people all the time, and she's very grateful. She said that she had recently lost hers and misplaced it, and so she took this moment that I was giving her one as a miraculous moment because she lost and misplaced her medal just recently. So all of these stories now are just to remind you that if you ask God what to do, in my case, he inspired me to give a medal to a man coming into the church who looked sad, and apparently it changed his whole life. Give a medal to a woman who almost got hit by a car, and turns out she was going to look for her medals that day when she got home. And the second lady in the pickup truck, she tells me that she just recently misplaced and can't find her medal, and here I was giving her one. So those are all clues to you about coincidence miracles. And as I said in the book of Mark 16, verse 20, at the end of Mark chapter 16, verse 20, it says, if you're out talking about God, you're going to see evidence like this, these clues, these coincidences, where God is showing you that he's walking with you and he's with you. Our next miracle also shows how you have such a wonderful life if you ask God what to do before doing things. For example, on one particular day, I was busy doing some things and I needed to check the time, so I looked up at the clock, and just as I looked, it clicked to the hour being 4:44 in the afternoon. That's 3 4s, and that's the famous number that reminds us of the Blessed Virgin Mary. If you read my books, you know it's a very special number in my family because my wife went to heaven at 4:44 in the morning on one amazing day surrounded by miracles. So we know my wife did go to heaven by what happened, and that's all written out in my book. But, that happened, and so when I see 3 4s, it reminds me of my wonderful wife. It reminds me that she's in heaven, and she certainly is happy there. I miss her, but she's happy. And so I got inspired by God later during the day. Why don't you send a text to your son and say a few things, and then ask him to let you know when he notices a coincidence miracle today. So I did. I sent him the text, and immediately he responds, and he says, well, I think you'll probably enjoy this, Dad. I did looked at the clock, and just coincidentally, when I looked at the clock, it was 4:44 p.m. today. So I got all excited about that, and I texted him back and said, well, the great news is because I asked you, and thank God I did ask you, now I know you and I both had that happen. So we hung up after talking, and I sent a note to my daughter and told her about it, and she texted me back and said, wow, that's amazing, Dad, because I also looked at the clock today at 4:44 p.m., and it clicked as I looked. So the point I'm making to everyone listening is I was asking God what to do each step of the way. He told me to text my son. He also told me to tell my daughter about what we just experienced. And because I did what God said and told my children, I spoke out about it, I was able to get the fact that they were having the same miracles by God on the other side of the phone. So the 3 of us realized that God had us look at the clock at the same time that day, all 3 of us, because we shared our story together. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.